Hi everybody and welcome to this video. My name is Mike. I'm the partner at Atomic Ventures, and over the last couple of years we've helped hundreds of startups across Europe, Middle East and Africa to raise their investment successfully of up to $1 million in pre-seed or seed funding to help them grow their business. I'm also one of the partners at Atomic Computing, a consulting organization specializing in cloud computing, working with Amazon Web Services, Google and Microsoft, and over there we have strong partnerships across the region to also help our especially SaaS companies in our portfolio to utilize cloud services, AI, security best practices, as well as compliance, cost optimization, and migrating them onto the cloud. So we are combining these two capabilities of helping them on the tech side as well as on the investment side. And in case you are interested to raise your first $1 million in startup investments, then this is the right video for you. Let me quickly go ahead and introduce you to our program, because we've worked with so many startups, so we've decided to bring all the knowledge together that we've acquired over the last couple of years, and we've come up with something that we call the 99 days fundraising program. So if you are looking to raise investments, pre-seed or seed, in the next 3 to 4 months within 99 days, and getting ready for your fundraising, then this is the right program for you. So let's talk about the investment selection criteria, which are quite important for you to understand before you actually go out and speak to investors and try to raise your investments. So first of all, we do recommend you, and this is also something that you will hear from investors quite a lot, to have a market, a total addressable market of at least $1 billion. So ideally more. But in essence, you need to operate in a huge market. So something that gives you a large market opportunity. Also, as part of the market considerations, you need to understand, are you entering a new market, or are you creating a new market? So there are two different ways of looking into that, and you need to be very clear of what exactly it is that you're actually doing. And either way, if you are entering a new market or if you are creating a new market, you need to understand what exactly is your market share. So if you are entering an existing market, then you definitely want to understand how much of this overall market will you be able to acquire for your own company, for your own business. And of course, this should be somewhat significant, because investors are looking at large markets and significant market share. So in case of an exit, these exits are also substantial, right? So even in a $1 billion plus market, you should definitely aim for 5 to 10%. And this is why, again, the market itself is so important, that you have something significant. And again, if you are operating in a small market, $50 million or whatever, or $100 million, you will find yourself in a situation where investors will actually walk away from the table, because the market is just not big enough, and the opportunity may not be big enough as well to be negotiable at a VC level. Next is the team. So again, VCs and investors are going to look into your team, and essentially you want to have a team, and this is also what they would like to see from you, to have a founding team that can build and sell the solution. So I see a lot of solo tech founders who build beautiful products, but when it comes to go to market and distribution of these products, they actually lack. And this is like a core functionality or core set of capabilities you need to have inside your company. Somebody who can build the solution, somebody who can sell it. And the ideal founding team size would definitely be 2 to 3 founders. One is kind of a yellow or sometimes even red flag. And if it's a too complex founding structure, then this is also something that some investors may actually walk away from. So 2 to 3 co-founders is usually very advisable. And again, do keep in mind, you need somebody who can sell it and somebody who can build it. Next is actually the technology aspect that you want to pay attention to. And this also includes the product as well as the infrastructure side of things. So if you are a software as a service startup, do consider utilizing the best practices around the cloud. As mentioned, we work with AWS, Google, and Microsoft, and they have wonderful startup programs that we can help you get access to, as well as AI. A few years ago, blockchain was the big thing. Now we are really in the AI era. And if you are not utilizing artificial intelligence and machine learning, then you are actually missing out not only on a trend, but also on optimizing and automating your solution as to something that would create huge impacts and a huge value for your customers. So do consider your AI strategy as part of your overall product strategy as well. If not, if your solution is not even AI powered. So this is definitely something you want to consider, and we can help you identify the right use case in case you don't have them yet, or help you to introduce the AI capabilities inside of your product or your startup. Next is actually the traction. Some of the things that is heavily overlooked by startups when it comes to the investments and raising discussions. We do recommend startups to have a little bit of, or like ideally a solid amount of traction already to have like enough market validation before you actually go ahead and introduce yourself to investors. What do I mean by that? There's a magical bar that we usually recommend, which is your startup needs to produce $100,000 in annual recurring revenue. Of course, investors understand your situation. You're an early stage startup. You haven't achieved product market fit yet. You have a bold idea. There is a couple of assumptions that you were able to verify and validate already. But again, traction is extremely important. Same goes with momentum. You need to have that. If you don't have evidence of any traction, signals, momentum, whatever, it's going to be a very short and not in-depth discussion. So do prepare yourself to have a strong story around the traction as well, and don't neglect that topic. Next one is scale, and by scale I mean a lot of things, right? So in terms of scale, your investors is going to understand what exactly is the scalability portion of your business in terms of the business model. So how exactly does your business model scale? Second thing is the onboarding of customers, like both on the go-to-market side, but also the customer onboarding. Is your go-to-market a repeatable, scalable process that you can roll out and then repeat over and over and over again to onboard new clients onto your platform? But secondly, also, what does the onboarding process look like from a customer perspective? Is that very manual, or can you onboard hundreds and thousands of customers at the same time? Or is every single customer onboarding like a manual process? You definitely want to think about that. So even though your infrastructure is scalable, but the onboarding process for new clients is not, then this is something that needs attention. And same thing goes for the scalability in terms of geography. If you are in, like here, for example, in Dubai or in the Middle East or elsewhere or in Africa, and you want to onboard a customer in the US, are you actually physically able to onboard that client in the US? Or would you have like a team member needing to go there, or is there like infrastructure or hardware appliances that need to be shipped over there? Is there like special expertise required on site, or is it completely remote and online? So these are definitely small but highly relevant aspects in terms of scalability, not only from a business model but also from the go-to-market model, onboarding experience for your clients, but also tech-wise. You need to have all of these components considered when it comes to the scalability of your startup. Next is the collaboration. So a lot of startups who reach out to us and want to work with us, we usually recommend them to work with us in two phases, and this is also how we do it. Phase number one would be to utilize the M3TS framework: market, team, technology, traction, and scalability, M3TS. So you utilize the M3TS framework and all the details that come with it to reach your first $100,000 in annual recurring revenue. Again, don't neglect the traction part. A lot of startups are trying to skip this and cut corners and be smart about that, and then go half-what prepared with a half-baked slide deck and some random assumptions which are far from reality over like the next 2 to 5 years in terms of financial projections, and they have absolutely no evidence to track their story. And this is going to come back to you as like a boomerang. So we do recommend you to first work on the basics, reach the $100,000 in annual recurring revenue first, and then go to phase number two, where we actually focus on the fundraising activities as well as the investor relationships. And we have a full database of investors who are actively investing in early stage startups as well, both non-equity funds as well as equity-based funding sources. So there's a lot of things that we can discuss. Now you may ask, okay, how do I actually go from wherever I am to $100,000? And I do understand you may be at zero today, you may be at a few $100s a month, or a few $1,000s a month or a year, and 100,000 is still quite a bit to go. But there are a certain set of mechanics or mechanisms and steps that you can take, and we're going to talk about that in a lot of details when it comes to the actual building traction and reaching your first 100,000. And just simply breaking it down, if you want to reach $100,000 in annual recurring revenue, and divide that by 12, that would be $8,333 that you need to achieve on a monthly basis. And again, if you do have a SaaS solution where you are able to charge your customer, for example, $100 a month, be it a single user or be it like a team of a few people or a company or organization, or you have different revenue streams from your business model and the pricing model that you have. But let's assume you're able to charge $100 per client. However you want to, like whatever you want to take it as a definition for a client, a user, a company, an organization, whatever, you charge $100. That means you only need 83 customers on your platform. Now, if you are generating zero right now and you are at the MVP stage, that's good. So you can still build early traction and then actually launch and then start onboarding your customers. And the first milestone would be to go from 0 to 1 customer. If you have 1, you scale up to 5, then scale up to 10. And if you manage to get 10, there is a roadmap and a path to achieve 80 or 50 or whatever your number may be. But there's a roadmap to achieving that number, and then subsequently also having the $100,000 in annual recurring revenue. So the game here is have a product that people are willing to use, generate some revenue, and draw a path to $100,000 in annual recurring revenue. I'm not saying wait for a year until you've collected the 100,000 in ARR, but build this momentum, build this traction, so you have the evidence, you have the numbers to back your story. And this is something very, very important, because even if you only have 10 customers, you can say, okay, it took me X amount of time to reach these 10. This is the revenue I'm collecting right now. And if I just continue to repeat my go-to-market strategy, I will actually have $100,000 in revenue by time X. So you can already project and forecast 100,000, and this is all we need, right? So we don't have to overcomplicate things, but this is like the stuff that you need. Second, if you do have your $100,000 in annual recurring revenue, you will be at a much more stronger position to actually negotiate a deal with your investor. You will have more favorable conditions. You will be more confident. You have a great story to tell to tell them, and also people will notice you in the market, and you have more options. So we definitely recommend you don't skip that step. We work in these two phases. Phase 1, we help you to reach this $100,000 in ARR, and second, we work on the fundraising and investor relationship. And by the time you reach that, the conversations are going to be very, very open, and you will have a much stronger negotiation position when it comes to raising your investments. Next would be some startups that we used to that we worked with, who are our customers. For example, Canary, they're based here in Dubai. They raised $200,000 in their pre-seed round. Loco is a it's a company from Germany. They raised 1.5 million in their pre-seed round with angel investors, and then also Simple, a brilliant company from Egypt. They raised $6 million in their seed round, now preparing for their follow-ups. So a lot of knowledge already there, and great results which these companies have obviously achieved. Now let's quickly talk about the reality of today's startup ecosystem. And a lot of people may have raised before, and when we ask them, okay, when did you raise? That was usually in 2020, 2021, 2022. However, the reality is it's no longer 2021 anymore, and raising investments today is harder than ever before. Back in the days, the good old days, inflation rate was low, interest rates were low, everybody was looking into cloud and emerging technologies. So the investment ecosystem was just very, very different. Now things have changed. We are going through economical uncertainty. The investment appetite is not as it was before. And like in all honesty, 90% of the startups, they fail to raise investments, and then subsequently they die within 12 months because of insufficient funds. And most of the startups who are planning to raise, they waste between 6 to 12 months going from pitch to pitch, trying to figure things out by themselves without any meaningful progress in reality. And at the same time, in the last 12 months, we have seen over $10 billion worth of investments being raised by startups in pre-seed globally, and these investments are still happening. And you can raise a successful pre-seed or seed round as well in the next 3 to 6 months, but there is just a few things I would like you to consider. First of all, the risk of doing it alone. In case you are a first-time founder, you have never done this before, or even second-time founders who have less experience doing that, not having a clear fundraising strategy and a set of best practices to follow when it comes to actually raising investments is a risky endeavor to undergo. Next is wasting 12 months of doing it wrong. So it is going to take a big hit on your morale, on your motivation, and you will not see results. So wasting 12 months can actually have a huge impact in startup universe. So this is something I would like you to consider. Next is the strong network of founders and in the startup ecosystem. If you don't have that, fundraising is so much harder. And if you do get like a deal presented with like a term sheet from some investors, you may be negotiating a bad deal in case you don't know what to look for or what to look at. There are very specific details that you actually want to consider when bringing an investor on board, because you definitely don't want to sell 50% of your company for an investor that is part of your cap table, and you actually have completely unaligned or different strategic goals. Next would be losing credibility with investors if you do it alone, and you definitely don't want that, especially if you are coming unprepared and you are being asked questions and have no answers for them. So don't lose credibility because you only have one time to leave a good first impression, and if that shot is gone, that's not very great. And next one, and the last one, which is probably the most critical one, is you are running out of cash before being able to raise investments. So this is the number one rule of a startup: don't die, don't run out of cash. So think strategically about success and consider getting help in case you have never done this before and you don't want to go through the risk of raising alone. Now, there is more risks that you have to consider. What is the risk of raising too late? So a big risk here is that your burn rate will catch up. So your monthly expenses are going up, and your cash buffer that you may have is actually melting down, and the month over month expenses are catching up, and you may not be able to sustain the operational costs even if you do generate revenue, but the burn rate catches up, and this is a critical thing to monitor very closely to have a sufficient runway. Next would be you lose negotiation power if you raise too late. Next would be your team morale takes a hit in case you are trying to onboard investors month over month over month, and your team doesn't see any success while you do that. So this can actually have an impact on the team's morale and in your morale as well, obviously. And then if you get in front of investors and you are begging for like an offer to onboard these investors will sense your urgency to act. And if they do that, they feel you're desperate. And if you're showing that you're desperate, they will actually walk away from the table. So this is like not something investors actually appreciate a lot if they are working with desperate founders. So this is definitely something you want to have in the back of your mind as well. And then lastly, less favorable market timing. I had a lot of startups who told me about their ideas. They said they had this idea 2 years, 3 years back, and now they're seeing all these competitors coming left and right and from everywhere, taking their ideas and actually launching and executing faster than they would actually be able to do that. So the longer you wait, the less favorable the market timing is, and if the opportunity window closes, you will have a lot of struggle to actually make this whole gig successful. So raising too late might bring you or put you in this situation where you have less favorable market timing. And last but not least, your startup just looks less attractive in case you don't have fundings, you're bootstrapped, nobody really cares about you. To boost your startup and help you accelerate, you may not be the right startup to invest into, and your overall company may look less attractive. So have a proper timeline in place when it comes to executing your fundraising strategy. Very, very important. So startups who do raise successfully, what is it about them? They usually have more runway, and therefore they can also take better decisions. They're not pressured into some quick decisions or other decisions which are not well thought through. So they just have more peace of mind when it comes to decision-making process. So they can make smarter and sometimes even faster and long-lasting decisions. Next would be the accelerated growth. If you have cash at hand that you can actually deploy into your growth, you can accelerate the whole journey. Next, of course, you are more attractive, or you're in a position to actually hire more talented people, so you can attract them more easily, and you can build a world-class team by bringing on the right people for your big mission. Next would be the benefit from your investor network. You can expect a lot of support, their network, their expertise, other startup companies in their portfolio to be connected with, and just a lot of things that come with being in touch with the right investor. Next would be the increased visibility and credibility. A lot of media attention is going to wait for you, or a lot of media is going to wanting to work with you once you actually achieved your successful raise, or if you raise a successful round. So a lot of media is going to come by, and you will get a lot of attention and visibility and credibility as well. So even your customers would like to work with you, and this can also accelerate sales cycles. And then last but not least, you have more control over your narrative. You don't have to do stuff that doesn't fit your overall long-term vision, right? So raising investments can completely change the course of your startup future. So please do consider that. Now, do let me know what you think about that. Investors don't fund ideas, they fund execution and momentum. So don't wait, execute right, get your startup off the ground, and prepare yourself for a successful journey. And again, I do want to invite you, if you're looking forward to raise, and if you're ready to take on this journey, click the button below and book a meeting with us, either with myself or somebody from my team. And we're happy to walk you through a one-on-one strategic session, a strategy call, to discuss your fundraising journey. And let's see how we can work together and help you raise your first seed or pre-seed round of up to $1 million. I'm looking forward to work with you, and see you in the next call.